So our headliner this evening is Kristine Esser Slentz. Kristine is originally from Northwest Indiana and the Chicagoland area, or what's lovingly called the region. Kristine is a Purdue University alum who studied English literature and creative writing. After college, she began working in the digital marketing field to marry her experience with both writing and advertising. She started with search engine optimization and soon transitioned into content marketing. During this time, she also wrote pieces for publications like the Huffington Post, Pattern, and Nouveau. Currently, Kristine is earning her MFA in creative writing of poetry at the College of New York. She's also the assistant editor for the online poetry publication Unfold Magazine, and the features manager for the Poets Community of the Harbor through the Speakeasy Project. Her poetry has appeared in Sweater Weather Magazine, The Unprecedented Review, and then Flying Island Journal, where she was nominated for a Pushcart Prize. Let's give a warm welcome to the Spark stage for Kristine.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for that introduction. My name is Kristine. I'm a writer, specifically a poet, and a digital content marketer, as was stated. I've been doing these things for years and years now, meaning I live in the land of words. I've studied them at length for things like sound and syllable and structure, but most importantly, meaning. What I want to have us focus on today, though, is the use of words or language in correlation with how we view women in society. Yay! So conveying a precise or exact feeling and action is critical when trying to send a message to others. Every word in every language was designed for a very specific purpose, and words are continuously being created and renovated to fit our current needs. According to the Oxford Dictionary, there are 171,476 currently used words in the English language. Additionally, there are 47,156 obsolete words that we don't even use. But here's another statistic to think about. On average, a person only uses about 700 words on a regular basis. So what does that leave us with? Over 170,000 words that we could use for precision in communication. So you can probably start to see the discrepancy that can take place when we're interacting with each other individually or on a mass media type basis. We're favoring words we're used to, that we are conditioned to expect, and their meaning since they have been repeated to us our entire lives. And then we go ahead and reuse those words and phrases to express ourselves, our thoughts, feelings, and actions, which means it's not a lack of intelligence or having a broad vocabulary, it's cognition. There's psychological research behind this, of course, in using language. In 2014, there's an article in the New York Times that discusses a study by Ulrich Ecker, who is a psychologist and cognitive neuroscientist at the University of Western Australia. And he looked at news articles and specifically looking at their headlines, content, and photographs. These studies show how important the word choice we use really are. In one study, Ecker took both a factual and opinion piece and gave each participant 2 headlines. The factual piece gave one headline that aligned with the overall information included in the article, and one that only focused on a small piece of the opposing information. Likewise, the opinion piece had headlines that sided with one of the 2 experts. In both cases, Ecker found that language used in the headlines, even blatant misdirection in the factual articles, caused the readers to diminish the importance or disregard altogether the contradictory information presented. Subtle manipulation of headlines in the opinion pieces had a far more direct effect on how people interpreted the information. And in many cases, the only information the reader could recall lined up with the headline. In another study, Esser was able to conclude that simply having your picture on a page as a headline with a positive or negative message was enough to make a lasting impression, whether you had any affiliation with the article at all or its content. Pretty wild stuff, right? So what's a slideshow without some examples? Check this one out. This is a recent article from New York Times that caused some conversation on Twitter. It reads, "A woman dedicated to saving lives loses her in Gaza violence." I want us to take a look at a very specific word here, loses. Typically, when someone loses something and you use that word loses, it's in regards to something trivial, like losing your keys. But what that evokes as a reader when you're seeing this, what if you're trying to get more of the actual feeling of the sadness her family felt or the tragedy of someone being lost in this very specific manner, the full scope of it? What if the headline read, "A woman dedicated to saving lives had hers taken in Gaza violence"? What do you think? Or perhaps the word stolen instead of loses. Changing that one word takes away the softness that tries to be portrayed in this event. It invokes only the sadness from the reader and not the true devastation of killing and violence. There's also this perception of the perfect victim scenario that's trying to be shared in this original headline, a tactic that oftentimes is assigned to women in general by saying the only ones that deserve sympathy are the perfect ones that have done nothing wrong, rather than the brutal reality of the situation, a woman being murdered, people being murdered. Let's take a look at something else too. So sometimes it's about the words that are not being used instead of the ones that are being used. With recent movements like #MeToo and #TimesUp, many abusers are being identified in the media industry or people that are holding positions of power. Naturally, many of these men oftentimes respond with a statement, giving their side of the story, if you will. Here are 6 of those statements from the likes of Kevin Spacey, Aziz Ansari, Louis C.K., Morgan Freeman, and Ben Affleck. The commonality you'll find with all of these statements is that, and many of them outside of these men as well, is that they acknowledge something wrong happened, but they never actually use the word sorry in these professed apologies. Let's look at Ben Affleck's. "I acted inappropriately towards Miss Burton, and I sincerely apologize." Or an excerpt from Louis C.K.'s. "I have been remorseful of my actions, and I've tried to learn from them and run from them. Now I am aware of the extent of the impact of my actions." The pattern starts to become apparent as similar language is continued to use among the other apologies, with not actually saying the word sorry. This is done purposely, including a word like sorry in a public statement regarding sexual harassment would up the ante of admitted guilt. Being sorry is an ingrained word associated with wrongdoing and shame and would then cement the abuser's harmful status, unlike other related words. According to an article that the Webster Dictionary published, the word apology actually didn't mean I'm sorry at all. Being derived from 2 ancient Greek words, the article says, the word's earliest meaning in the English language was said for something that was written in defense or justification of what appears to be wrong to others. Now it's up for debate when it started to include the words sorry or apologies like that. Excuse me with my notes. But, you know, it's obvious what the original meaning was. So what does this all mean? What can we do? Oop, did I lose my? Woo. Thank you. So what does it all mean? What can we do as individuals walking through life on a daily basis? Well, take a look at what you're consuming and processing, that information that's put in front of you, and then demand more from others who are in control of sending those messages out into the world. Also, realize how you're expressing yourself and your learned knowledge to others. Just like that, be aware and care. And it looks like I'm getting pretty close to my time, so thank you so much, guys, and for being here and being present.
Thank you very much.